Ready for a gripping English story you can understand and speak along with. Today, fame, family, cryonics, and a courtroom twist. Listen, shadow key lines, and grow your vocabulary while the mystery unfolds. Let's begin The Frozen Brother. Chapter 1. My Brother Al. I killed a man who was already dead. That's why I'm in prison now. The dead man was my brother Al. He was born 6 years after me, and I hated him from the start, even when he was a baby. Before Al came, my parents loved me very much. My father carried me on his back and took me swimming. My mother bought me many dolls and we played together. They took lots of photos of me in my first 6 years. I still keep those pictures in an album. But then Al was born. I have a photo of that day in the hospital in Los Angeles. My mother is smiling at the baby in her arms. My father has his arm around her and looks proudly at Al, who is holding his daddy's finger. And me? I'm standing alone beside the bed, watching them. I have a strange smile. Maybe I was happy, but I'm not sure. No one in that picture is looking at me. After that, everything changed. Al was a boy, and that was very important for my parents, especially for my father. Most of the photos after that were of Al. Al eating, walking, swimming, running, playing football, having birthday parties. There were hundreds of pictures of him, and only a few of me. Of course, my parents still bought me clothes and took me out sometimes, but they didn't really care anymore. Before Al was born, I was their world. After he came, I became invisible. I often played hospital games with my dolls. I pretended they were sick, and I was the nurse. When they had bad stomachs, I gave them medicine. Sometimes I pulled off their arms or legs and put tomato juice on them to look like blood. My mother once gave me an old syringe to play with, and I filled it with water, pushing it into the dolls again and again until they were full of holes. "That's a nice game for a little girl," my mother said, but she didn't understand. All my dolls were boys, like Al, and in my game, they never got better. They were sick for a long time, and then they died. I buried them in the garden. When I was 10, my mother died. My father became sad and started drinking. Sometimes he brought strange women home, but none stayed long. When he wasn't drunk, he played with Al. I was alone most of the time. I was a good student, and I was pretty too, so I had many boyfriends. My father hated that. "Stay away from those boys, Ellen," he shouted. "I don't want them in my house." "Why not?" I asked. "You bring your women home. Why can't I bring my boyfriends?" "Shut up, girl," he screamed. Sometimes he hit me, and once he hit me so hard, I had to go to the hospital. And Al, what did he do? Nothing. He just watched, laughed, and played football with Dad. Then I met John. He was 22, strong and handsome, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. All the girls loved him. One day he asked me to go to a party with him. Me! I was so excited. I put on my best clothes and my shortest skirt to look nice for him. When I heard his motorbike outside, I ran downstairs. Dad was standing at the door. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Out," I said with a smile, "with my new boyfriend." "Oh no, you're not," he said. "Not in that skirt. You're only 18, Ellen. I know what boys want." "I don't care," I said, and tried to walk past him. He pulled my arm, and I screamed. Then he hit me in the face. John came just then. He grabbed Dad's arms and pushed him back into the house. Dad couldn't fight him. John sat him down in a chair, then walked out and put his arms around me, right there in front of the house. Then we rode away together on his motorbike. Chapter 2: The Wild Boys. I never went home again after that night. I stayed with John in his apartment, and 3 months later I found out I was going to have his baby. But I lost the baby after 5 months. Later, I went back to finish my nurse training. 4 years after that, I had another baby, a healthy one. Now I'm 29 and have 3 small children. But I'm not really happy. John is handsome and strong, a great lover. But I'm not the only woman in his life. I know he has at least 2 other girlfriends, and both of them have children too. Maybe there are even more. Sometimes he disappears for weeks, and when he comes back, he smiles and tries to be kind. But I'm still angry. He doesn't have a real job, and we never have enough money. I work as a nurse in a hospital, but the pay is small. I must give half of it to the woman who looks after my kids while I'm at work. 4 years ago, my father died. Al told me. Dad had a heart attack, he said. He got angry about John and started running every day to get fit. But he didn't stop drinking. One day he drank half a bottle of whiskey, went for a run, came home, and fell down dead on the floor. Al laughed when he said it. I thought it was strange. Dad always loved Al, but when he died, Al laughed. Maybe men are just animals, not real people like us. After Dad died, I saw Al more often. I didn't really like him, but he was the only family I had left. Sometimes we took the kids swimming or went out for pizza. John didn't like me talking to other men, but Al was fine. He was my brother. When Al was 18, he started a rock band called Wild Boys. He sang and played guitar. At first they performed in small restaurants. Then they made a record, and it was a big success. Soon they played concerts for thousands of people. They made 3 more records and traveled all over the world. By the time Al was 20, my little brother was famous and very rich. He bought a yellow Rolls-Royce, a Jaguar, a Porsche, and a huge house in the best part of Los Angeles. It had 15 bedrooms, a tennis court, a swimming pool, and a view of the sea. He even gave me our parents' old house. That sounded nice, but it wasn't. The house was small and old, with only 3 bedrooms, a tiny garden, and noisy neighbors. It was better than my old apartment, but not much. I often visited Al. He gave me a key to his house, and I cooked for him during his big parties. I liked those nights. John came too. There were famous people, loud music, lots of food, drinks, and drugs. Yes, drugs. That was the problem. Al got too interested in them. Many of his friends took drugs, and John did too. When they were high, they acted crazy and didn't even know what day it was. I remember one night at a party when everyone went swimming at midnight. The boys took John's clothes from the beach while he was still in the sea and drove away. He had to walk home through the streets, wet and angry, while we laughed at him from the car. I thought it was funny, but John didn't talk to me for a week. Al and his friends kept taking drugs, and his music got worse. He slept most of the day and looked very sick when he woke up. He was thin, his face pale, and he didn't want to eat. One day, he said, "You're a nurse, Ellen. I feel terrible. Give me some medicine or something. Please help me." "You don't need medicine," I said. "You need food, rest, swimming, and no more drugs." "Who do you think you are, Ellen? My mother?" he said angrily. "No," I said, "but I am your sister and a nurse. Listen, I'll bring you some medicine to help you stop the drugs. I'll cook for you, but you must try to stop. Please, Al." He listened to me, and it worked. After 2 or 3 months, Al looked better. He was strong again, happier, and started making good music. He trusted me. Sometimes he took me and my children to the beach. We ate, drank, and swam together. Those few months were good times. I thought, at last my brother likes me. He's happy and healthy because of me. Maybe now he'll help me, buy me a car, a house, or take me to Europe. But I was wrong. Nobody ever gives me anything. Chapter 3. The Tour. "One day I'm going on tour," Al said, "around the USA and Europe. 4 months of playing music." I looked at him and hoped he would ask me to go with him. I could see the world and take my children. "Wonderful," I said. "We can—" "You won't come," Al said. "But I want you to clean my house while I'm away. You can't live here, but come every day and clean. And one more thing, Ellen." "Yes? What is it?" I asked. I felt like shouting inside. I was angry, but I said nothing. "I get very tired on tours, and I need drugs to help me play well," he told me. "But I don't want dangerous drugs. I want clean, safe drugs." "You're a nurse. You can get them from the hospital. Take them quietly. No one will know." "That's a crime, Al," I said. "People go to prison for that. You want me to steal drugs for you?" "Why not?" he laughed. "You're my sister, Ellen. And don't forget, I gave you our parents' house. What else do you want?" He said my parents' house, not our parents' house. Dad left it to Al because he was angry with me and John. But half the house should have been mine. Al thought he could take everything. Like when we were children, he played football with Dad, and I played with dolls. I remembered the syringe I used to play with when I was little. I thought about the dolls I made sick. I smiled to myself. "All right, Al," I said. "I'll get the drugs. You are my brother." I looked around his beautiful house, the pool, the sea view, the big rooms, and I thought, he is not married. It is only him and me in the family. When he dies, all this will be mine. It was easy to take the drugs from the hospital. Nobody watched me. I also took new clean syringes. Al was very happy. "Thanks, Ellen," he said. "Now I can play lots of good music. I'll be fine." Chapter 4. Strange New Friends. Al went away for 4 months, and I cleaned his big, beautiful house every day while he was gone. He didn't phone me once. When he came back, he didn't look well. His face was white. He was very thin, and he looked sick. I tried to talk to him, but he didn't listen. To him, I was only the cleaner and the cook. He had new friends now. Strange ones. I met some of them one night in November. There was a party at Al's house. When I arrived after work, I saw a large black car outside. It looked boring. Inside, the people looked boring too, but only on the outside. Behind their polite smiles, I could feel danger. A businessman in a dark suit sat across from Al. A young woman sat close beside him, resting her arm on his chair. The man was about 40, with grey hair. The woman looked about 24, with long black hair and a blue dress. At first I thought she was his daughter. But Al smiled and said, "Hi, Ellen. Meet my new friends, Dan Future and his wife, Linda. I met them in New Mexico." There were about 10 other guests, talking and listening to music. We had a few drinks. Later, Al and Linda went swimming in the pool. I sat quietly and watched the sunset over the sea. Dan Future came and sat beside me. We both watched as Al climbed slowly out of the pool, looking weak and tired. "Life is very short, don't you think?" Dan said suddenly. "What do you mean?" I asked. He smiled. His teeth were very white and perfect. "My father died last year," he said. "He was 65. That's not very long, is it?" "Well, maybe not," I said carefully. "Think about it," he went on. "The sun has gone down billions of times, but my father saw only a few hundred sunsets in his whole life. People live such short lives, like birds." "Yes, I understand," I said, looking at him. He surprised me. Most businessmen didn't talk like that. His hair was cut perfectly. He wore an expensive watch and a fine suit. He looked rich and healthy. So why was he talking about death? The only sick person here was Al. Dan smiled again. "We don't have to die, you know," he said. "Soon people will live to be 150, maybe more. All you need is money. I told your brother about it in New Mexico, and he was very interested. Maybe you are too. I thought he must be crazy." "Are you part of one of those strange new churches?" I asked. He laughed softly. No, I'm a scientist. I can tell you everything about it if you like." But he didn't. Just then, Al came over and said, "We need more food and drinks. Ellen, there are hamburgers in the freezer." So I went to the kitchen. That's what I did best. Cook and serve. Al had the money, not me. I was just a woman, his sister, not important. I stayed until 10 o'clock, then went home. I didn't learn anything more about Dan Future or his strange ideas that night. But 2 weeks later, I learned a lot more. Chapter 5. The Frozen Brother. It was the night of Al's birthday. I came home from work around 7, put the kids to bed, and made dinner for John. He didn't talk to me. He just sat in front of the TV with his food and a bottle of whiskey. I felt lonely and angry. I'll go and say happy birthday to Al, I thought. Even he can't be worse than this. And after all, he's my brother. I had brought some drugs and syringes for Al from the hospital. I wrapped them nicely, like birthday gifts. Like sweets for a baby, I thought. Al's just a big child, with his music, his cars, and his toys. And I'm his nurse. When I reached his house, everything was quiet. Only a few lights were on downstairs, and the big black car was parked outside. That's strange, I thought. It's his birthday. Where's the party? The front door was open. Soft music was playing inside, but no lights. The moonlight came through the windows and shone on the pool outside. "Al," I called. "Al, where are you?" No answer. Only the quiet, beautiful music. I went to his bedroom. Empty. Every room was empty. When I came back to the living room, I opened the door to the garden. and then stopped. "Ah!" I screamed and nearly fell. 2 people were sitting on the ground, their faces turned up toward the moon. They didn't move or look at me. "Al?" I said again, but it wasn't him. It was a man and a woman, Dan and Linda Future. They began to sing. It was a strange song without words, slow and soft. They sang for nearly 10 minutes. When they finished, I shouted, "Where's Al?" They both stood up and came to me. Dan took my hand. "He's asleep," he said calmly. "We have saved him." I pulled my hand away. "What do you mean?" "Saved him?" "He was very sick," Dan said. "He had AIDS. You knew that, didn't you?" For a moment, I couldn't speak. "No," I whispered. "Of course I didn't." "When did he get it?" "Who knows," Dan said. "Maybe on tour, with the drugs and all that. No one can cure AIDS yet. But one day, someone will. So we helped him. He's safe now, for hundreds of years. Isn't that wonderful?" Linda smiled and took my hand again. "Come with me," she said softly. "Don't be afraid, I'll show you." She led me through the house and down the stairs to the music room. Al had built the room underground so he could play music all night without waking the neighbors. It was a large, quiet room with a small, high window, but now it looked different. In the middle of the room stood a big glass case, glowing with a cold blue light. The air was filled with a low humming sound, like a freezer. Inside the case lay a body. It was Al, my brother. He was lying on a bed of ice, wearing silver clothes. His face was blue. "Oh no, what happened?" I cried. "It's all right, Ellen," said Linda softly. "He isn't dead." "Not dead," I said, staring at her. "He's frozen," she explained. "He took a sleeping drug first, then we froze him. It's 196 degrees Celsius in there. At that temperature, nothing changes for hundreds, even thousands of years. Al will stay here until doctors can cure AIDS. Then they'll wake him up. That's what our company does." "Your company?" I asked, confused. "Yes," Dan said as he entered the room. He put his hand on my shoulder and handed me a business card. It said, "Escape from Death. The Cryonics Company. Dan and Linda Future." "I don't understand," I said. "What's cryonics?" "It's the science of freezing people," he said. "We help people like your brother stay alive until the future. When medicine can save them, they'll return. Meanwhile, we take care of their money and their property." I stared at him. "You take care of their money and their house?" "Yes," he said, smiling. His perfect teeth looked blue in the cold light. He pulled a paper from his pocket. "Your brother signed this. It says we must keep him here, frozen, for 200 years. By then, there will be a cure. Until then, we'll manage his money and his house. When he wakes up, it will all be waiting for him." "You killed him!" I screamed. "And now you're stealing his money, his house. It belongs to me, not you." Dan laughed. "No, Ellen, you don't understand. The money and house belong to your brother. He's not dead, only frozen. He'll stay that way for 200 years. He laughed again, and Linda joined him. I turned and walked out of the house in silence. Chapter 6. The Key and the Plan. The next day, the Futures sent me a lot of papers with Al's name on them. I showed the papers to John. "You need a lawyer," he said. "Those people are criminals." So I went to a lawyer, but it did not help. You need money for a good lawyer, and I had none. I went to the nearest office, and the man there was unfriendly. "It costs $100 for half an hour," he said. "You pay before we talk." I gave him the money. He took off his watch and put it on the table. He was a small man, with little hair and a white, tired face. His eyes were cold and grey like stones. When I told him my story, he said, "It's not possible." "But it's true, read these," I said. He read slowly, then looked at his watch and smiled. "Well, this is interesting," he said. "They may be criminals, but to get the house back, we must show that your brother is dead." "How can we do that?" I asked. "We could ask scientists to say cryonics does not work," he said. "But the Futures will have other scientists to say it does. Better, find a doctor to look at your brother and say he is dead." I laughed. "How can a doctor look? The body is frozen at 196 degrees. It's a block of ice." "Yes, that is difficult," he said, looking at his watch again. "But that is what we must do. Before we begin, I must tell you, Dan Future's lawyer is one of the best in the country. Maybe I can win, maybe I cannot, but it will cost a lot." "How much?" I asked. $50,000 to start, maybe much more later." I stood up slowly. "Forget it," I said. I had only $300 in the bank and no food at home. I looked at the lawyer's tired face. "I can't win," I said. "I have no money. The Futures are stealing my house, and I can do nothing." I ran out. For a week, I was angry all the time. I shouted at people at work and at the children. John got drunk, so I dropped a plate of eggs, spaghetti, and hamburgers on his head. He hit me and went to stay with one of his girlfriends. I wasn't sorry. He was lazy and stupid. Twice I drove past Al's house and saw the black car outside. That house belongs to me, I thought. Those people stole it from me, and I could do nothing. Nothing. Then one night I had a dream. I saw Al's frozen body with a key in his mouth. The key was warm, and the ice on his head turned to water. The key moved and warmed his body. Al opened his mouth, screamed, and then died. At 2 o'clock I woke. The street was quiet, and the moon was bright. I thought about the dream. The key. Of course, I had a plan. I put on black clothes and jeans and drove to Al's house. The black car was outside, but no lights were on. I left my car 200 yards away and walked to the door. The Futures did not know I had a key. I opened the door quietly and went inside. Everyone was asleep. My key opened the music room too. It opened all the doors. I went down into the room and looked at Al. He was still there. Silver clothes, a blue face in the glass case. The room was full of blue light and the soft noise of electricity. Electricity, that was it. Al needed electricity for his music, and the freezer needed a lot of power too. Beside the freezer was a big electric switch. I put my hand on it and smiled. "Goodbye, Al," I whispered. Then I turned the electricity off. The blue lights went out and the quiet noise stopped. It was very dark. I waited. After about 20 minutes, a sound began. Noises from inside the freezer. I switched on my torch and looked. The ice made gas and small noises. I waited another 10 minutes. More gas, more noises. The freezer was getting warmer. Very quietly, I went upstairs and out of the front door. I felt happy. Al was really dying now, I thought. When he was dead, the house would be mine. The Futures could go away in their stupid car. I touched the black car, and that was my mistake. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm started and the car lights began to flash. On, off, on, off. I ran to my car 200 yards away, but a police car turned the corner and saw me. 2 policemen got out, took my arms and put me in their car. "What's this?" one man said. "Black clothes, 3 in the morning, car alarm. Looks like a car thief, Pete." "Yeah," the other man said, touching my face. "A young woman, too. Let's take her to the station." Chapter 7. The Truth in the Cold. I reached the police station at 3:15 in the morning and said nothing. The Futures arrived around 3:45. "It was our car," Dan said. "Someone tried to steal it." "Okay, sir," a policeman answered. "We've got the woman here." Then I said, "You stole my house, so I wanted to steal your car. That's fair, isn't it?" It wasn't true, but it gave me time. While we were arguing in the police station, Al's body was slowly getting warmer every minute. We talked and shouted from 4 until 5 in the morning. I almost enjoyed it. Then the Futures had to write their story for the police, and it was after 6 when they left. I smiled to myself. By now, Al would not be frozen anymore. He would be dead for real. Of course they found out. At 8 o'clock they came back shouting, "Al's dead! You killed him! You switched off the freezer!" I laughed. "Don't be silly," I said. "He was already dead. I just saved you some electricity. That's why I'm in court now. The police call me a murderer, and all the newspapers write about me. But now I have 2 very good lawyers. They work for free because I'm famous. They want to be on TV. And because of them, the Futures and the police look stupid. My client, Ellen Shaw, did not kill anyone. My lawyers tell the court again and again. Her brother, Al, was already dying of AIDS. Then he took a sleeping drug. Maybe by himself. Maybe from the Futures. After that, they froze his body at 196 degrees Celsius. No one can stay alive when they're frozen like ice. The Futures are the ones who killed him, not Ellen. You can't kill a man who's already dead. Every day people write about my case in the newspapers and talk about it on TV. Most people believe me. Last week, a newspaper offered me $100,000 for my story, but my lawyers told me to wait. This week, another paper offered $200,000. The trial is almost over, and soon I'll be free. Free and rich, at last. Today my lawyers asked me questions, and I told the whole story. Then they sat down, and the police lawyer stood up. She was a young woman with short dark hair and a sharp voice. She spoke quickly and confidently. I knew she was clever, but it didn't matter. She had only one doctor who believed cryonics might work. We had 4 famous doctors who said it couldn't. They all agreed. Al was already dead before I switched off the freezer, from the drugs or from the cold. So, how could I have killed him? Ms. Shaw, did you love your brother? the police lawyer asked. I laughed. No, not really. Oh, why not? She asked with a small smile. I told the court about our family, how my parents gave Al everything and me nothing. How he gave me nothing either, except the old house. How I cleaned for him, cooked for his parties, helped him when he was sick. But he never helped me. My lawyers looked worried, but I didn't care. Soon I'd be free. Your brother was very sick, the lawyer said. He had AIDS. Did you know that? I know now, I said. Dan Future told me. After Al was dead. I didn't know before. I see, she said. But you knew he was sick, and you brought him medicine, didn't you? Yes, I did. Why didn't he see a doctor? Because I'm a nurse, and his sister, I said. He trusted me. That's right, she said slowly. He trusted you, his sister. The room went quiet. The lawyer opened a police bag, took something out, and held it up. It was a syringe. Look at this, Miss Shaw, she said. Have you seen it before? I don't know, I said. Maybe, I said. The lawyer smiled coldly. Maybe, you say. But this syringe has your fingerprints on it, Miss Shaw. It came from the hospital, and we found it by your brother's bed. With 2 others. You stole them from the hospital and gave them to your brother, didn't you? The courtroom was silent. My mouth felt dry. In a small voice, I said, All right. Maybe I did. Why did you steal them? She asked. Why? To help Al, of course. To help him play good music. He wanted clean drugs. I told her what Al had said to me. Clean drugs, you say? Do you even know what was inside this syringe, Ms. Shaw? Yes, I said quickly. Clean, safe drugs. Oh no, Ms. Shaw. Her voice grew louder. These drugs were not clean or safe. These syringes were full of dangerous bacteria. Bacteria that can kill even a healthy person. And a person with AIDS, they would die even faster. And perhaps, before these, there was another syringe. One that wasn't from a hospital at all. Maybe one from the streets. Maybe that's where your brother got AIDS in the first place. She placed the syringe carefully on the table, then looked up at me again. We found these 3 syringes next to your brother's bed, all with your fingerprints. Do you know why they had these deadly bacteria inside? No, of course not, I whispered. Don't you, Miss Shaw? She asked softly. That's strange, because I think I do, and I think everyone in this courtroom knows too. She turned to the jury, her voice strong and cold. You hated your brother, didn't you? Because he was rich, and you were poor. Because he gave you nothing. And you stole drugs for him. Because he trusted you. He trusted his sister, the nurse. She paused, her eyes moving slowly across the courtroom. But that was his mistake, wasn't it, Miss Shaw? You wanted him dead. Because you wanted his money, his big house, his life. So you gave him syringes full of poison and bacteria. You wanted him to die slowly. The courtroom was completely quiet now. Everyone stared at me. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. Because everything she said was true. You didn't kill your brother when you switched off the freezer, she said finally. No, he was already dying long before that. You were the one who started it. Week after week, month after month, you were murdering him. With dirty syringes, dirty drugs, and deadly bacteria. You wanted to give him a slow, painful death. I believe this court will want to send you to prison for a very long time, Miss Ellen Shaw. I looked around the courtroom. Hundreds of faces turned toward me. Cold, angry faces. They all hated me. No one understood. No one cared. No one loved me. No one. I felt nothing at first. Then I began to feel cold. Cold as ice. Cold as a body in a freezer. If you enjoyed The Sister's Secret, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more dramatic English stories. Follow us to explore more tales of mystery, crime, and emotion, rewritten in easy English for everyone to understand. Every story hides a secret. Are you ready to discover the next one?